Hi, I'm Jaime from CCM, and I am joined by Hasan James of Root Magazine, and we are so excited to come together and share this exclusive listening party and conversation with Nashville Life music.
As editor-in-chief of Root Magazine, I'm thrilled to be able to partner with CCM to bring our readers together for this special event for the release of their new studio album, Here for Jesus. Described as a family of fun-loving disciples, Nashville Life Music originated from their home church in Nashville Life Church, pastored by husband and wife, Alvin and Cece Winans. Nashville Life Music is a diverse tribe of singers and musicians known for their lively, fun-filled melodies and powerful anthemic worship choruses. And today we're joined by two of their members, Vaughn and Alvin Love III. And let me say that over again, Alvin Love and Cece Winans, because I know for years people are like, oh, Mr. Winans. He's like, no, I'm Alvin Love. So respect to your dad. Welcome, guys.
Hey, man. Thank you. Thank you for having us. We're honored to be here.
This is great. I know two of you are representing the group today, but how many members of the group are there, and how did you all come together as a group?
Yeah, so we're the worship team at Nashville Life Church here in Nashville, and there's about 25 of us, and we all met through the church. The church is the common denominator between everybody that's on the record and on the worship team. Everybody who is on the worship team is a member of the church and attends life groups or serves on a Sunday team or is connected through at least just being a member of the church and believing in Jesus. And it's so great because the common denominator of the church actually helps us to be united from the very beginning. We all love Jesus. We all love our local church, and we just have a lot of fun together. The church started about 8 years ago, and Alvin and I were part of that first group. And since then, it's been really cool to see the church grow into not just a group of believers, but a group of creatives and musicians and singers. Almost everybody in the church sings. The 25 people that's on the team are a small percentage of the talent in the church. But those group of people, we lead worship every Sunday at our church. Now it's been kind of different because we're online a lot right now, but we are meeting together in South Nashville, and we sing and write songs together all the time. So the record really is a kind of an offshoot of what we do every week.
Nice. And Alvin, how do you bring together so many different people to work cohesively as a group? I think you're muted, Alvin.
My apologies.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm so sorry about that. No, I think it really is a spillover from the theme of our church altogether. Our church started off as being a pretty wide range of different people coming together. So I think that synergy and multiple perspectives and styles kind of coming together really is the overarching theme of our church. So I think when it comes to the music, it's sort of a natural step because all the auxiliaries of our church sort of function that way because that's just the nature of who we are as a congregation. So as far as specifically with the music, I've been working with Vaughn for years. We went to college together. So I think our ability to work together and the chemistry that we have, I think, also serves as a launching point for the team. And we've just been watching it happen organically. We really can't take too much credit. We've just seen some amazing people come through our church, and every season it's been amazing to see how these different individuals and these different artists come together for the common cause of building this church and spreading Jesus, and it just kind of flows.
Nice.
Now, Vaughn, with everyone coming from the same church, how does corporate worshiping together impact your music commercially, and does serving Jesus together help with creating your distinct sound?
Well, first of all, Jaime, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
I'm a fan of CCM Magazine, so thank you for having us. We didn't start Nashville Life Music as many other artists start. You know, they start with gathering people for the purpose of being an artist. We started as a church for the purpose of building God's kingdom. And again, because of that common purpose, we were able to leap over a lot of barriers pretty quickly. And I think the unifying factor in our commercial music, now that we're assigned artists with integrity, is we agree on some pretty big things, like Jesus is our savior, and we need him every day. Music is important in the worship service, and is important in our everyday lives. And God has given us the talent in music to change and impact other people's lives. So those three things make it really easy for us to do what we do, because we agree on those things. And when we start writing, when we start singing, when we start worshiping, we can go straight for all the good stuff, because we already know that we're on the same page. So what's really cool is everything that you hear released from our church or from our music is what you would hear in our church service. I think only one song on the record is a song that we have not done in church. As crazy as that sounds, some of the songs you might hear today, you're like, who would sing that at church? But we sing all of them at church. And I think it's a testament of the creativity that's in our church, but also the openness of our congregation, the diversity of our congregation, that they're open to hear all these different styles on a Sunday morning or a Sunday afternoon. So that really helps the commercial side not be so separate from what we do in our church services.
So Alvin, one of your pastors is gospel music legend CeCe Winans, who is one of my absolute favorite singers on the entire planet. I think I could listen to her every day of my life and not get tired of her sound. How has she musically influenced the group, and has she helped with showing you how to navigate ministry through music?
Okay, great. Well, my answer is probably unique because I'm her son.
Right.
So musically, yeah, I mean, I grew up hearing her and my family for years. So as an individual, I would say musically, she's been very influential. Stylistically, I still reference her music and my family's music as a major piece of the influence. I think there's a handful of the members of the church of Nashville Life Music that would agree and say they grew up. We actually also have a lot of members of the church that didn't know who CeCe was until they came to the church. So I think that depends on the individual from Nashville Life Music as far as the musical influence that she's had. But what I do think that all of us would agree on was as a co-pastor of our church, her heart for God, her heart for worship, just even the way she influences our ability to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit, and knowing how to flow, and knowing how to savor a good moment. You know, there's been times where the audience is at a part where they're super sensitive to God, and you can just sense that the flow is there, and then we'll stop and go to another song, and she'll be like, "What were you guys doing? That was such a sweet part. Like, you should have stayed there." Or opposite times where we probably should have stopped and we kept going, and she was like, so she does give that feedback because she is so experienced in leading worship. So she's been a great influence for us and a great mentor of how to navigate, even after being assigned artist at Nashville Life Music. She's been a great example of how to balance the industry side of it, but maintain the main objective, which is always Jesus and lifting him up. So she's been a great influence and a mentor for us as a group.
That's great. Well, it's almost time to get into some music, but before we get to that, your current project, Here for Jesus, which is out today on all streaming platforms, so everybody make sure you download the project today. It is so amazing. It's so diverse. And I believe the last time I spoke to you guys, I told you how much I love your sound, and I heard like the Partridge Family, I hear, and even with this album, I hear Earth, Wind, and Fire. I hear like Bruno Mars. I hear the Bee Gees. It's just and mixed with Jesus. It's amazing. Wow. So what can you explain why you use that era? I guess more like the 70s era for your inspiration?
Yeah, well, Alvin mentioned that we went to school together at Belmont, and I remember many of our conversations about our favorite songs came from that era. So we lean toward that personally. But when I think about the 70s in general, and you know, the early 70s and even the late 70s, I think well, let me back up. First of all, stylistically, we're a diverse congregation. And the 70s, I think, was a very diverse time in music. You had rock, singer-songwriters, pop, R&B, all being very successful in the same era. I really appreciate that era because there were not only amazing songs, but the production value was really high. There was a lot of camaraderie among musicians and singers, where there's a lot of cross-pollination going on. And it was just a really fruitful time for music. But also, we didn't think about this, but I mentioned this in another interview that we had, that it was also a very trying time for the country at that time. I mean, there was a lot of political unrest, there was a lot of social unrest, a lot of economic unrest. And what came out of that were these amazing songs, many of which were from artists who had a voice to say about what was going on in the world. So we didn't see this, but in hindsight, I guess it's 2020 for the year 2020. I really do think that era of music is an example of how music can be effective in our world. And I think our style for this record is a good representation of that same thing. We have something that we want to say about the gospel, and we have a message that we want to share with people. And I think that style kind of lends itself to saying things in a way that would grab people's attention.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's get into some music. I know everybody's excited. The first song I want to play is "I Got a Reason." I mean, as soon as I heard it, Andre Crouch, I was just like, man, that has to be one of the influences. So let's get into "I've Got a Reason."
I thank the Lord, He is faithful. And when I'm low, He is able. I was alone when He opened the door. I've got a reason to praise the Lord. He woke me up this morning, gave me a testimony. I've got a reason, so many more. Done so much for me, gave me the victory. I've got a reason, praise the Lord. Woke me up this morning, hey, gave me a testimony. I've got a reason, so many more. Done so much for me, gave me the victory. I've got a reason, I've got a reason, I've got a reason to praise the Lord.
Yeah, I like it.
Yay. Cool, man. Cool.
Well, now more than ever, it's vital to bring some unity and diversity into our churches. I'd love to hear about your goals for the group's music ministry.
Our goals for the music ministry is pretty much in sync with our goals for the church, and that is to inspire people to follow Jesus, and then to get them to the point to where they want to be influential with their faith and inspire others to follow Jesus as well. The vision of our church is following Jesus, building leaders. And as worship leaders and as musicians, we live that out by letting music inspire people to follow Jesus, but also have the music empower people to go out in their communities and do something with their faith, to where it doesn't just stop with them. And if you listen to our lyrics, they try to empower the listener to not just be hearers of it, but to do it as well. So we want to inspire our listeners to action so that they can be influential in their families and in their communities.
And that's a perfect segue into our next song, Reconciler. Before we play that, why don't you give us a little bit of background on that song?
Well, Reconciler is a song that I think it came from a message. We had a message that we were talking about Jesus as the reconciler, and something about that word just inspired a melody. And I sent Vaughn an idea, and he liked it. And that's kind of how we do things. We kind of just share with each other, you know, if I got a song or if he has a song. And we tried it at church, and I just think the lyrical content is something that is, that's my favorite part about the song, because I believe ultimately that's what Jesus is trying to do in every facet, reconcile people who have been estranged. And the song is one of my favorites to listen to.
I was lost at a crossroads of life and death. Big sins on my right, deep pain on my left. God could not have felt before it went. God could not have felt before it went. I need a mutual, spiritual connection. I needed a mutual, spiritual connection. And Jesus in you, my connection comes. Jesus in you, my connection comes. Reconciler, take me higher. Can't go the Father unless I know you. Can't get to heaven unless it's through you. Reconciler, take me higher. Can't go the Father unless I know you. Can't get to heaven without you. So good to know the God who knows the Most High, 'cause through that guy everybody's
So the music of the 70s.
Yes.
That's awesome,
Yes.
guys. It's great.
Feels so good. Feels so good,
Yeah.
man.
Now the music.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. The music of the 70s was very much the voice of that generation. Do you see similarities with today's current situation that we're in? And how is the music the voice of the church now?
Yeah, that was kind of what I was alluding to earlier. I never thought that this year would turn into the year that it is. It is a surprise to many of us, but not a surprise to God. And, you know, Scripture says that there's nothing new under the sun, and God knows everything, and he doesn't do anything in the world without involving his children. And, you know, my prayer is that these songs would give people inspiration to pray and to turn to the Lord, like that song Reconciler talks about. And I believe the church has the answer in the person of Jesus Christ. We know who to run to. And even if things got worse, which I hope they don't, and even if things don't change as soon as I want them to, which I hope they do, I know someone who does not change, and someone who has everything under control. So, you know, like I said, the 70s, you know, one of the things that I've been thinking about, as challenging as these times are for me, I can't imagine how challenging they could have been for people of previous generations. And even though it's hard for me right now, every generation faces these dark ages where they have to really, their faith is tested. They have to really know who they trust and believe in. And like I said, I think the 70s had so much unrest and so much angst going on that we can actually learn from them, that if music was something that was powerful enough to carry them, then it can carry us as well, especially if it's got the power of Christ on the inside of that song. So I think that's what I would say. We have the opportunity to share the good news through music.
Well, let's listen to In a Little While, which is definitely disco inspired.
In a little while, the Lord is coming back. I know it's not often talked about, yet it's still on. In a little while, Jesus Christ is coming back now. God's holy word, it says everybody's gonna see it. Just how to anticipate. Well, he's coming. I believe he's coming back for his home.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite, man.
I
So
think
wait,
that's
really
my
quick.
favorite too, man. I like that one too. That's
Yeah,
probably-
man. It
probably
feels
my
so
favorite.
great. What is that BG inspired? The BGs? I know you guys are a little younger than me, but
Oh, for sure. For sure. It wasn't
Yeah.
originally, it was more of like an ABBA, but then when I was in the studio, I was like, what if I sang this entirely like the Bee Gees?
Yes.
And then our producer, Ben Shai, was like, let's try it. So I just did it.
Love it, man. Love it. You
Great
nailed it. You
idea.
nailed it. You also have a couple of guest features on the album, including Leland and Aaron Cole on the song Sing a Song. Can you share how you guys connected with Aaron and also how you came up with the concept for the music video? Talk a bit about Sing a Song.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sing a Song. It was actually Sing a Song Part 1 first. And we did it for our first record, Taylor House Sessions. And we wanted to revamp it. And we kind of beefed up the track. We made it hit a little bit harder. And while we were listening to it, I was like, man, I think this track could use a rap. And Aaron Cole had actually been, frequent attendant to Nashville Life. And Vaughn knew Aaron, so we reached out to his people and sent him the track, and he sent back what he did, and we loved it. Like, he pretty much went ahead and did it separately, sent it to us, and we loved it. So he definitely took the song to the next level. I think Part 2 is stronger than Part 1 because of him. And then the video, we did a photo shoot at West End Middle School here in town, and it was there's an old gym that hasn't been renovated, but it's got so much vibe, and we love the photo shoot location so much. We were with Integrity at this photo shoot, and they were talking about the music video, and I was like, man, we were like, let's just do the music video here and do a big pep rally style.
Yeah, I love that.
So it was the location of the album cover video shoot that inspired the video. I mean,
Nice.
photo shoot that inspired the video.
Inspired the video. Nice, nice. All right, let's get into it. Sing a song.
Just think of one good time that you've been blessed. I'm sure you can find one thing that God has done for you. Now think of one more time that you've been blessed. I'm sure you can find more things to grow in gratitude. Sing a song to the one who's been loving us since forever. Sing a song to the one who's been there our entire life. Sing a song to the one who's forgiven us for whatever. Sing a song to the Lord and sing it again. Sing a song to the Lord and sing it again.
Now I'm feeling supreme, I'm feeling Diane, away from my band. Ay, keeps on picking me up, I'm giving them things. Yeah, I got manners. Ay, ain't nothing bringing me down, I'm falling to friends with him, I can't handle it. Made him my new addition, now I know that I can stand the rain, the highest praise, like yeah. Hallelujah, ayy. Check it, so I got my hands high, know that I'm covered like 10 lives. Gotta be part of his franchise, got beats that I know that we can rise, we can rise. Yeah, ayy, look, we can rise. Hey, sing a song.
To the Lord and sing it again. Sing a song to the Lord and sing it again. Sing a song to the one who's been loving us since forever.
Yeah,
Oh,
part
yeah.
2 is on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that, love that. On the other side of the spectrum is a song called Shepherd, which also Leland Marvin is on as well from the group Leland. I'd love to hear about that collaboration as well with Shepherd.
Yeah, man, this song for me is a dream come true for so many reasons. Alvin and I have been fans of Leland, true fans of Leland for years. We would listen to his music. We drove to his concert years ago. And it's just such an honor to actually work with him. The song was inspired, actually in between two of our services. I was driving from one service in the morning to another service in the afternoon. And we had actually sung one of Leland's songs that morning called Where You Are. It's an awesome worship song. And I was just kind of going over for the next service. And then I started vamping over this other idea. And then that kind of turned into what you hear on the bridge is my life is better. I like it better when I'm following you. And I got to the afternoon service and I just said, hey guys, to the worship team, which they're used to this by now, these random ideas coming at them at a off time. And I said, hey, can y'all just sing this for me a little bit? And we practiced it and it went really well. We sang it again a couple Sundays later and the church really responded to it. And then I called Andrew, our guy at Integrity. I said, Andrew, you know, I think Leland would be a really great fit for this. And Alvin agreed and he agreed. And thankfully, Leland agreed. And he came to Nashville and sang on this song. And we were crying in the studio. The producer and I were just so moved by his heart for Jesus, but also his voice. He's just an incredible singer. And he took this song to a whole different place. And it's one of the best things I've been a part of. I'm so proud of the song for so many reasons and honored that I got to record it with him.
Wow, nice. All right, well, let's get into Shepherd.
All our eyes on you, Lord. All our eyes on you, God. All our hope in you, Lord. All our trust in you, Lord. All our trust in you, Jesus. All we want is you, Lord. All we want is you, Lord. The Lord is our shepherd. The Lord is our helper, yeah. The Lord is our helper. Yes, He is. Oh, Jesus, lead us and show us the way to follow you, yeah. We want to follow you, God, with our whole life, with everything. Not just one song, not just one moment, but Jesus, show us the way.
Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, wow.
So pretty. I think one of the biggest takeaways from listening to your album Here for Jesus is how diverse and creative all the songs are. How does the various experiences from the different members in the group affect the Nashville Life sound?
I think strongly. I'm inspired by the people on the team. Really, I mean, besides Jesus more than anything, because I don't know. I think it's so inspirational to have such a wide spectrum of individuals. So there's been so many times where you'll hear, you know, a singer come through that has maybe more of a country feel. And when they're on the team, you're like, oh, what kind of song would be cool for them? And then like, there'll be times where I'll come up with an idea. I'm like, oh, so-and-so would sound great on this. Or this new singer that we've got, oh man, with her tone or with his tone, it'd be great. I mean, Shonda's a great example of that. I think Shonda Jefferson's a member of our church. And when Vaughn wrote I Got a Reason, we were like, oh, Shonda, this is perfect for her. So I think the diversity of the individuals and even the testimonies, aside from their talent, even their lives and a lot of the stories that are in our group definitely inspire the songs that we write for Nashville Life.
And can you share some insights on the meaning of the title track? What does Here for Jesus mean to you? And it definitely has a rock sound to it.
Yeah. Here for Jesus, we wrote with an Integrity writer named Mitch Wong, who's written a lot of songs you would recognize, awesome songwriter. And when we were in the writing session, we really wanted to write something that could start a service, for one thing, you know, something that could bring people into God's presence and kick off a great service. And there are a lot of reasons that people go to church, some of which are good, some of them maybe not so good. But we wanted the main reason that people come to church is to set their attention on Jesus, and to focus on the goodness of Jesus. And it started there, but kind of grew into a bigger idea of not only do we come to church services for Jesus, but I want my life to be for Jesus. I want to serve Jesus with my family, with my money, with my job. And that's kind of what the lyrics portray. You know, even when we're facing obstacles, the first verse says, no matter what's in our way, we're going to break through with praise. And that's because we know that when we look at Jesus, we can have victory through any circumstance. So yeah, the whole idea is to inspire people to look at Jesus and set their attention on him.
Well, let's listen to that song.
No matter what's in our way, we're gonna break through with praise, and everything else will fade as all of your people say, we're never gonna be ashamed. No matter what fight we face, 'cause there is no other way, as all of your people say, we're here for you. Jesus, Jesus, we're only here for Jesus. All eyes on him will never turn away. We're living, breathing, we're only here for Jesus. Now and forever, all our days, we're here for Jesus. We're here for Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm
Yes,
telling you,
yes.
man, there's something on this record for everybody. Seriously, you got country influences, rock, R&B, gospel. It's really great, guys.
Cool, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Also wanted to talk about the song More Than Words. Number one, was that recorded live? And number two, Alvin, you sound like you was dropping some bars in there somewhere. Man. Talk a bit about that song, More Than Words.
Yeah, that was a jam session. We had an extra spot on the record, and we knew we needed an up-tempo song, and we knew we wanted it to be a dance, sort of funky song. We feel like we still had a space for something like that. So that was really uniquely written because we kind of had we got all of our songs out of the way that we needed to track with the band, and then we kind of just had a jam session. Vaughn had like a basic structure, and the band just started jamming, and we just said, let's just get them playing, and then in post-production we can kind of build a song out of what they're playing. So we kind of just started piecing different parts together until we thought we had a groove and a song. And then we wrote the song, and there was a down part that was just kind of space, and I was just messing around in the studio just mumbling words, and Ben, our producer, was like, don't tell me you're thinking of, oh man, you got to do it, you got it. So I was just kind of messing around, so I just went in, and I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, love it, man. All right, let's get into More Than Words.
This is not what I thought following Christ would be. Yeah. This is way more than I imagined.
Man, it's like you don't want it to end.
Good.
Yeah, this is really great stuff, man. I just want to commend you guys. You know, it's no accident that, you know, me representing gospel music and Jaime representing CCM music doing this interview, because it's such a great fusion of both genres. So,
Wow.
man, kudos
Thanks,
to you
bro.
guys for that. You know, can we talk about I guess the importance of cultural diversity in both gospel and CCM music and in our daily churches, and how does Nashville Life music help to bridge that gap per se?
Yeah, well, again, I want to thank you both for doing this. I know this is not a normal style interview, so kudos to Root Magazine and CCM Magazine, man. I just can't thank you all enough for your time today. But I think what's happening right now is a good example of what we can do more of, which is have more intentional dialogues and conversations about what it means to represent Jesus in as many nations and faces as possible. I believe the gospel is a worldwide faith, and it is inclusive of everyone who comes to Jesus. And I think our churches need to represent that as much as we possibly can. Our church doesn't have miracle water that did it for us that won't work for somebody else. We are only doing it by the grace of God. It was never a plan or a strategy. It was always that something God graced us to do. But we don't sit on that as a destination. I look at it as a launching pad. What more can we do? Who else can we reach? How can we inspire more churches to receive the same grace that God has given us? I think one thing that has helped our church along our path and journey is the authentic relationship with people in your everyday life. You know, I don't think the church is going to represent something that I don't do in my everyday life. So as many dinner meetings I can have at my house, as many coffee dates I can have at a coffee shop, as many songwriting sessions. I just got an email today from Integrity inviting me to write, Alvin and I, to write with a Brazilian songwriting camp in a couple of weeks. So, you know, I think that's the kind of stuff that has to happen. Businesses need to take the same mindset, pastors, but also individuals need to take the same initiative to reach out across the aisle, across the street, across the barrier, across the border of the nation, and say, I'm willing to sacrifice for the sake of the cause of Christ, which I think one of the biggest banners is working and loving and sacrificing for people who don't look like you and don't speak your language.
Nice.
So that's my prayer, that Nashville Life is one of the many, many, many thousands of churches that are doing the same thing.
Nice.
Well, gentlemen, tonight has been an absolutely amazing evening, and I cannot wait to see what God has in store for this album. And thank you for sharing your hearts with us tonight. If you could give one final word of encouragement to our viewers to help them navigate through this historic, unprecedented times, what would you want to tell them?
The first thing that's coming to mind is the power of joy. Scripture says that the joy of the Lord is our strength. Mm-hmm. And I believe that joy, thankfully, is not subjected to circumstances. So I would just encourage people to really fight to find that source of joy from God, because I believe it's going to provide the strength that we need to get through life in this season and every other season after this. And I hope that this record will be a source of that joy for people who need it.
Nice. Well, Jaime and CCM Magazine, thank you for partnering with Root Magazine. And thank you to Alvin and Vaughn and all of Nashville Life Music just for this amazing time, for giving us this great body of work. You know, Alvin, I've been a fan of your family since I was a kid. I was actually scrolling through YouTube yesterday watching them on Oprah Winfrey. You probably was a kid then in the front, just scrolling through. It just like, man, the impact that they leave on gospel music. So thank you for all that you give, and thank you to Vaughn, musical genius, man. You guys together are amazing. And don't forget to download the album Here for Jesus, out right now. I'm telling you, it's something for everybody on this project. It's available everywhere you buy your music. Go check it out and follow Nashville Life on social media at Nashville Life Music. Peace.
Sir.
Thank you all, Jaime, Hasan. Thank you, guys. Bless you
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you. This is great.